Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, let me introduce you to my buddy, the one, the only, the Californian kid, Mr. Brett. Then, what's happening, Brett?
Hiya, hiya, hiya.
So,
Good to be
good to be back on the show. We
back.
chatted almost a year and a half ago,
Year and a half ago. Mm-hmm.
and we were like talking about pandemic and going, "Oh, I wonder how many weeks this is going to last."
Uh-huh.
And that was a year and a half ago, and now we're going to talk about it again.
How long is it gonna last?
It's forever.
Yeah. You think
Let's
so?
let's call a spade a spade. Well, what do you
Yeah.
think?
It's gonna be it's gonna be with us forever. I can't see us not I c- well, here's the thing. I've been touring a lot this summer. I started touring a lot in July. And the shows have been great. It's felt great to be playing shows again in front of people, but it's also been very surreal. And the reason is because it feels like, and I don't think this is a projection, but it just feels like when a group of people gets together at a concert, they're like, we know how to do this and we've been missing this and let's do it. And nothing ever happened.
Mm.
It feels like nothing ever happened. Like I don't see people wearing masks, and a lot of the shows have not been social distanced, and people are just dancing and singing and having a gay old time. And so much, it's been kind of fucking with me so much that I've gotten to a point where I've taken a minute every show and said, "Hey, let's all just stop and take a minute to pay attention to how remarkable this is. We're actually at a show. A year ago, I was depressed, wondering if I was ever going to get to play a show again. And if I was going to get to do it again, am I going to like it as much, or am I going to be anxious about it, or what? And now here we are, we're all just playing shows, and it's like nothing's ever happened. And let's take a minute to just appreciate this because it might all go away again. And it's just like I think when you get the people together and when it's just like it's an opportunity to forget. Like
Yeah.
music has always been an opportunity to forget about whatever's going on in your life, the world. And you get a bunch of people at a concert together and it's like, okay, we're doing this, and it's like it's almost like people are fighting against the reality that this is
Mhm.
here and still here, and it's still like kind of wrenching at our souls. It's still like I mean, the difference between like being in one city to the next city, you got one city that people are still afraid to go out and they wear masks in the stores and they're really conscious or like about, and then you go to like another city in another state and people are making videos like, I'm taking my kids to school and we're not wearing masks and nobody's vaccinated and screw you. I mean, that's just like it's just wrenching into our hearts and souls, and it's like it's woven its way into every bit of politics, and it's just like we're just like this,
Yeah.
and that's not going away.
No. I mean,
It's like
when you
now
say,
this is like the real war, or at first we were like afraid for a while, a little while there, everybody was afraid of a virus that can kill you. And then some people stopped being afraid, and then whatever. But now we're just like the war between each other is happening.
well, I feel like America, especially in America, which I presume that's what you're talking about, like America was already like that over the past few years,
Yeah.
and then with this fucking plague that came along. Now they're like, they're it's going 10 times worse. I feel,
Mm-hmm.
and it's funny watching it being out of America now for the past like year and a half. Because like I flew to the States this year for Easter, because Kelsey hadn't basically seen her dad in nearly 2 years, man. It's insane. And half of Kelsey's family they're all different beliefs on the pandemic, put it like that. And it was so interesting listening to everybody bickering and giving each other shit. And there was no like nastiness but it was so amazing to hear the completely different perspectives that everybody has on it.
Mm-hmm.
The one perspective I do have on it, and I've said it from the start, is the whole thing about work and how it's not sustainable. And I know a lot of people in America is like, oh, we have to get on with it regardless of the outcome. And even though I don't want people to die, I'm sort of with that as well when it comes to the work thing. I think, I've been saying that since the start. I'm like, we can't keep doing this. We just can't. Like, it's simple as that. Same in Ireland, man. Ireland at the moment, Ireland had the longest lockdown out of anybody in the world. And I
Mm-hmm.
feel like Ireland, the news here, the media just put the fear of God into everyone. And, when we went to Portugal last year in October, we got a ferry from Ireland, and 32 hours later, we landed in the country. And it's as if there was everybody was like, come on in, sit down, have a beer. And we were like, what the fuck? We have literally been carrying groceries into your house and cleaning them down at the door because the
Uh-huh.
media was just like freaking you out.
Mm-hmm.
Which is so different to what everybody's so different. But I don't know where it's at right now. I honestly feel like it's 10 times worse. I just think we're more used to it, and we're living
Yeah.
with it, and we've adapted to it. And
Yeah, it's like that's that's what I mean. It's like we might reach a herd immunity, and we might find a way to stay, we may even like get public health to a place where, we don't have to freak people out so much. But I guess I'm still only speaking about America, because in Europe it's like country to country. I'm sure the countries are so small. America's so big, and like what you're talking about between Ireland and Portugal is like the difference between America and Costa Rica
yeah,
or
of
something
course,
like that.
yeah.
Not, it's like, but state to state in America, it's very diverse. And this is like our. It's not a civil war, but this is like we've just been primed and ready for something like this to that would normally be an opportunity, or not normally, but it could be an opportunity for us to unite, and it's become an opportunity for us to just get divided. And it really sucks because it's really an opportunity for nuance.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's so much, like I'm vaccinated, but at the same time I'm anti-vax. I don't know.
I'm the same.
You know how that sounds? I
Yeah,
don't vaccinate my child.
I know.
I grew up not vaccinated ever. I was homeschooled. Well, I guess I did some, like, but like when we went to Africa, we didn't get
Yeah.
any vaccines. Um, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but I also understand conspiracy theory, and I know there's nuance to that. But it's just I'm of the belief that like I'm like a Novak Djokovic. Like I'm not a champion in anything, but like he's like a holistic guy who trusts in his body and trusts in his ability to be healthy and what he eats and how he lives his life. And I didn't want to get vaccinated, and it sounds so stupid to like feel embarrassed to say that, but I had people in my camp who were like couldn't understand and were kind of trying to pressure me into doing it, and still like having conversations. There's people that I work really closely with who just don't understand like the nuance of what I'm trying to say.
Well,
I
ignorance is
got
bliss.
vaccinated. I got vaccinated just because if I didn't, and I don't feel like I turned my back on my body or I sold my body out or anything like that. I just did it like there's been times in my life where I've gotten so sick that I've had antibiotics, and I didn't want to do it, but I just did it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You've been there, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Being on the road and you've got 5 more shows to play and you don't have a voice, and like you get put on antibiotics, and then a day later your voice comes back and you're like, okay, I just wrecked my
Yeah.
body, but I did it because this is the sacrifice I did. That's why I got vaccinated, because I knew that what's happening now is going to happen. Like all the shows I'm going to now, it's either you have to be vaccinated or you have to get tested all the time.
Yeah.
And that's just would be a nightmare to get tested all the time.
I mean, like, yeah. If I wasn't a musician, and I didn't have to travel and I worked here from home, I probably wouldn't get vaccinated either. I'm
Yeah.
I'm completely with you. Like, I'm not a conspiracist, but at the same time, I do believe there's lots of times that we're being screwed over by XYZ governments, FDA. I don't believe a word the FDA says, to be brutally honest. You know, I
Oh, especially now after watching there's an HBO doc about the Sackler family
I didn't see
and
that.
uh, Purdue Pharmaceutical Company, the company that invented OxyContin and started selling it, and how they basically had a stooge in the FDA
I mean,
who got the drug passed. And
per America, like the whole, I look at when you start talking about Oxycontin and Percocet and Vicodin and all the opioids, and I look at a lot of my friends who live in the East Coast of America, and every one of them has either got an auntie or a sister or a mom, or they have been addicted to it themselves, and it's just like one friend of mine, his sister is a full addict. She lives in the streets, normal family. His other sister was a nurse, and she had a car accident, never took a drug in her life. They gave her Oxycontin. She OD'd 6 months later. And I'm not even from there. And I know a sporadic amount of people
yeah,
throughout the East Coast and Pennsylvania and Philadelphia and Maryland.
dude,
And they
West
all,
Virginia.
oh man, those companies and the fact that the FDA and these anyway brings you back to yeah, that's a whole other thing. But like, these are the companies that tell you that's all good.
Yeah,
Yeah, you're sweet, pat you on the back, give you a badge saying you get vaccinated, and you're like, fuck you.
yeah,
I don't believe anything you say, but same deal, man. Like I took it because I same as yourself. I had the foresight to see that bands aren't allowed to go to be on the road. We're not going to be allowed to travel without it. We're not going to be allowed to have mass gatherings together without them. And I'm not saying that's what you should do or shouldn't, but I did kind of guess that that's what governments were going to do to us. And I haven't got the power to stand up there or the voice big enough to stand up against governments and say, or the time.
well, it's just like, it's to me it's not worth the fight,
I agree.
because we still, like, people say to me like, "Oh, I can't believe you are playing a venue that says you have to be vaccinated." And it's like, but that's not true. I'm only playing venues that say you either have to be vaccinated or show a negative test result. And I understand if people don't even want to get tested because they feel like that's an invasion of their privacy, but it's like, well, then, if you feel like that's an invasion of your privacy, then just don't go to shows for a while. Like, yeah, I think COVID is here to stay, and I think weird stuff is here to stay. But I think we're going to get to a place where um, we can play shows. At least I hope we can get to a place where we can play shows where, or get tested, or do something where more people and non-vaccinated people can see shows. It might not be in California, but maybe you can go somewhere else. I don't know, but it's not like I'm making a stand and saying like I'm only playing vaccine shows. I'm just like,
See, it's that or nothing.
I'm just trying to play music.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to. This is my. You want me not to play a show? Like, I'm just trying to play shows, and I'm trying to play for the people who are ready to see music in a venue where the venue feels safe and everybody feels safe. I understand pushing against vaccines because I want to do it too, but I also understand that government is telling us to get vaccinated because that's their best play, that's their easiest play. If they want to control the virus and they want to control contagion, the only way they can do it is say we have to get 80% of 85% of the people vaccinated. They can't say, I wish they could, but they can't say, okay, everybody just social distance a little bit more, get a ton of sunshine, eat vegetables,
Yeah.
and get a bunch of exercise and get your immune system up so that when you do get the virus, your chances of dying are slimmer. It's the same thing with like when the early messaging was just like the social distancing and they were trying to keep the hospitals open and ready, and they're trying to get. It's just like we're having crazy wildfires in California right now, and the federal government stepped in and said, okay, all national forests in California are shut down.
Mm-hmm.
And people are like, what? But if another wildfire, our resources are already stretched. We have firefighters from all over the country, all over the state, going to these wildfires in California and elsewhere. The government is stepping in, saying this is the easiest thing we can do. We if we put the vaccine message out, then people can just go on living their lives, being unhealthy, because it's too hard for them to it's too hard for them to get everybody to get everybody to be Novak Djokovic and say, like, I'm going to stay healthy, I'm going to do yoga, I'm going to eat right, I'm going to get a ton of sleep, I'm going to drink a ton of water, I'm going to have a happy, positive outlook on life. I'm going to avoid like looking at social media and being stressed out and scared all the time.
Yeah, I mean, like I wrote a song away at the start of this whole thing when it all started, and it's basically about that idea of, when you were a kid and you'd done something wrong and you were at bed at night time, and even if you didn't believe in God, you were like, if there's a God out there, please, I promise I will never steal again. I swear to God,
Yeah.
please, I
Yeah.
will never swear. I will eat all my vegetables. I will love my mother and father all day tomorrow and every day afterwards.
Yeah.
And every grown adult across the whole planet at some stage of last year probably said, I swear to God, I'll fucking jog every day. I will eat my vegetables every day.
Yeah.
But the sad thing is, as the human plebs that we are, we're not designed to do that. We'll fucking fall straight back into the railway tracks, which lead you right up to the McDonald's. And then you just order your Big Mac and go, yeah, we're back, baby. And we just forget about history so fast.
We're dancing at live concerts and we're having a great time. We're forgetting everything and we're drinking. And
I actually can't wait to go to a concert myself. I don't know when it's going to happen, but I would love to go to a concert soon. And like, actually, this T-shirt was the last concert I was at. What's it called again? Willie Nelson.
Willie Nelson with a Jack Daniels bottle, kind of.
What was
Looks
it called?
like Jack Daniels.
What's that? Oh, the Outlaw Festival.
The Outlaw Festival.
So Willie Nelson was touring around there.
Who else played there? Turn around. Turn around. Willie Nelson. Just turn around. You don't have to take your shirt off. Settle down, ladies. Phil Lesh and friends. Oh, damn. Margot
Price, Lucas Nelson, Sturgill Simpson.
Wow. Okay.
It was at the Hollywood Bowl. It was.
Those are all outlaw.
It was amazing. It was amazing. It was so good. Mitchell came. Kelsey was there. She was pregnant. Mitchell and I were not sober. Kelsey had to drive us all home. Somebody was eating mushrooms chocolate, but it wasn't me.
Somebody? It was your higher self?
Yeah.
The mushroom chocolates from Mitchell's health coach. From Mitchell's Ozone health coach.
Oh man, it was so good. Yeah, you've had those chocolates.
Oh yeah.
And we do you know who was killer that night, man? Sturgill Simpson toured a new one. It was as if
Did you hear his new music? That it's like he's got some heavy bluegrass players, and he did an album last year of his songs played in bluegrass style, his
no, I haven't heard this yet.
big songs. But now he's got a new album out called The Ballad or something, the story of Loretta and Dude or something like that, and it's just like it's just beautiful, man. It's great songwriting. I don't know if he wrote them or not. He probably did. Great storytelling, beautiful singing. He
It's
just
all
has that magic where it's like that Van Morrison magic where it's like you can it feels like he's just singing and playing, and that's what it was in that moment. It feels like it's not like laboring over trying to get a vocal or trying to get a take. It's just like him in the studio, that take, just being a badass. Great music, ridiculous singing, like all vibe.
that's I mean that's what that guy does.
Yeah.
There's no, you can tell that when he sings, he's not going to do it again. He's singing
Yeah.
like it's going to be the last time he's ever going to sing in his life.
Yeah.
You know, I would like to think that I think like that too. No matter what gig I do, no matter where the fuck I am, I don't go up and do it fast. And I love see listening to
Yeah,
that
but that
that
comes from a different attitude though. I like to feel that way too sometimes about things, but like songwriting to me it comes from a song at first. Like I'm just trying to write a song and then I'm gonna be the purveyor of that song. Where I feel like, and I could be wrong. I wish I could talk to him and have him correct me if I'm wrong. But like Sturgill comes from a place where he's like, no, this is me and I'm me, and me just happens to be coming through in this song in this moment, and who I am is a person who doesn't care about anybody other than what I'm doing. I don't want any outside. This is me, and this is like unapologetic, and boom, here I am. Not to say that I'm apologetic or you're apologetic, but it's like I'm more. I care. I want it to be Brett, and I want Brett to come through and everything. But when I write a song, and when I perform it, I'm thinking of like what's the best for the song.
yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly how he was whenever I seen him at that outlaw gig. He, he stood up there, him, a guy on the whirly, bass player and drums, and it was like watching Nirvana, only like country. And I don't mean that because it was rocky or heavy. It was quite heavy, but dude, the four of them just stood there, and they were fucking they meant every single thing they played, and there was no bullshit or kissing or are we having a great time here tonight, guys? Or trying to fill in the gaps. They didn't have to. Every note they played melted the fizz clean off your skull. And it was a fantastic gig. And every word he sang, the vocals were. He's such a good guitar player too. Like his guitar
Mm-hmm.
playing's off the charts. He's got like that old school country vibe, but you could tell he obviously grew up listening to the like 80s and 90s rock as well, all on top of it. It was just him and a Telecaster, not one pedal, a cable going straight into a deluxe, and he was just fucking roughing on like a big country telly. Great gig. I would love to see him or anybody playing for that matter right now. What's the last gig you went to?
Oh my gosh. Well, the last gig I saw,
Yeah,
like as a patron,
yeah,
it wasn't like at a festival that I was playing. I just
yeah,
went to a concert.
yeah.
I don't know, man. Shoot, give me a minute to think about that. It,
Was it a Keith
I
Harkin
don't
concert?
know. Yeah, probably. I did. I mean, I went to no, I went to a Sturgill concert, but that was a couple years ago. How badass is this though? Let's just keep talking or one more story about Sturgill. I went to see him at the Ryman in Nashville, and he was really high or something, but he played, and the band was great, but he was just a little subdued, like in his head the whole time, just playing the songs. Wasn't like going through the motions or anything. He was just playing the songs, singing a ton of soul. Kind of, it reminded me of Ray LaMontagne. You ever seen Ray
Yeah, yeah,
LaMontagne?
yeah,
Like
yeah.
Ray is up there sounding beautiful, like so much soul, but it's awkward because he's not really looking or engaging with the audience at all. He would rather just turn his back to the crowd or close his eyes and just. It's still a beautiful performance, but it's like you're watching something on TV
Yeah, I
instead of
get it.
like he was kind of doing that. And then toward the end of the show, he started to get really intense, started jumping around, and then right before the last song, he says, this is a big deal that we're playing here at Nashville, and we have these shows at the Ryman, and we sold them all out. And people for years have been telling me that like I'm not gonna make it, and now everybody's wanting to like work with me, and I just gotta say, we won. And he plays the last song, and he runs off stage, and then I had backstage passes, so I go backstage. Nobody is backstage. There's no drinks set. I mean, this is the Ryman. This is like in Nashville. This is a really big old school auditorium that is like
It's the place they play in Nashville.
but it's like what do you it's like playing like in the music industry if you're it's
It's
in a music industry town
it's the Holy
and it's a
Grail.
famous venue. So there's a lot of industry people there, and usually if people have a gig like that,
Oh
they're
yeah,
setting up drinks and stuff. I'm just saying this for some people who may not be
yeah,
aware, but there's usually a scene backstage where music industry people mingle and some pictures and people talk business and blah blah blah, kiss asses and all
yeah.
that. But some business gets done, and it's usually like the industry gives out tickets to people and they party backstage and nothing backstage. And he must have just ran off stage and got into a car and drove home or something. But it just no booze, ghost town, empty people. And I thought, whoa,
Nothing.
this dude. There was like some of his band members were there with some family members or some friends, and they were chatting and like maybe they were drinking a beer or something, but it was certainly not like entertain. No, none of that at all. The only other time I've seen that, the only other time I've seen that, and no joke, this is like opposite end of the spectrum. Jason Mraz is a total badass. He's up there singing about love and let's all get together and everybody be harmonious and all that, which is beautiful. But you would think that he has like I mean he's a real like loving and open person to an extent. I mean he's closed off, but he's all about community. You would think that backstage he's every show like his band and they have it he has his own room. He doesn't entertain anybody. He doesn't get any guests backstage. He's not like so and so's got to talk to you and like this and that and they're coming back out. He doesn't give the after show passes, if you know what I mean. Like maybe he puts people on his guest list, but he's not giving them the after show passes so that they come back and say, "Oh, that was a really great show. Thank you for making me feel special." None of that. He told me because we played the show in Santa Barbara. There's a million people that are like in this one area that the band is out there schmoozing with, like back. It's like the holding area where people come backstage and it's like they get entertained. The thing that I was telling you about that Sturgill doesn't do
Uh-huh.
or didn't do that night. Jason's off in his own dressing room, just putting on his shoes, eating some chocolate. Like, what are you gonna do? Like, when are you going out there? He's like, no, no, I don't entertain anybody. I just play the show. I do my entertaining on stage, and then I go home. I don't talk to any of those people. I thought, fuck, that is badass.
I think a happy ground, a medium somewhere along. I get it. I 100% get it. But like, it's part of the gig.
Yeah.
That's the way I feel about it. I do get it though. Like whenever I used to do Celtic Thunder, and then they would bring in, you know, people who whatever, some local TV station that we done an interview with the year before, and they all want to come say hi, and you're just like, I fucking don't want to do this. But at the same time, too, like a lot of people's intentions, they mean well, and they want to say, "Hey, thanks for the show." Like they want to thank you, and they want to. I think that
Yeah.
that's the way I would be. It wouldn't be the schmooze. I'd always just want to go on. I wouldn't ask for a photo. I'd be like, "Hey, thanks for having us. Really fucking enjoyed the show. I really mean it. XYZ songs were great, and you rocked it. Thanks again." I think you should give people that. That's what I think, anyway.
Well, I mean, I've been to a couple concerts of people that I love. I went to a Graham Nash concert, and I got to do the whole backstage thing and say hi to him and say thank you for the show. And I was like trembling and wanted to cry, but it was awesome. Like the time that I met your buddy Jack at some, I forget what it was, but it was some like industry party with a concert. I didn't need a backstage pass, but I walked up to him and told him how much I appreciate him, and like, so I want people to have that experience if they want to have that experience with me. Also, these are like, as much as that stuff can be annoying or like entertaining people you don't want to entertain, like the TV people or the whatever. Those were the things that I was like, if concerts come back, I swear I will do like triple of those.
Praying at nighttime in your bed, just
Yeah.
I
I'll
promise.
do them.
I
I
promise.
swear.
I
I will
will.
go to the auto show opening, grand opening of the Tustin Auto Mall.
Oh, I don't know what's happening, but I got asked to do a really cool gig that I can't really say much about. I think it's in February, and there's some super cool artists lined up for it that I'd be very proud to play along with. I'm actually really excited about that. I just got asked the other day about it. I can't really. It's kind of going to be a end of a
So why are you
conversation.
telling me if you can't talk
I know I
about it?
can't because you're talking about playing shows. It's just like
Oh, it's something to look forward to.
yeah.
Oh, can we talk about something else?
What?
You somehow have become the king of live stream concerts. How did that happen? I guess, is it because you've just done them for so long and then everybody moved to online concerts and you just kind of had a fan base there already and a head start and your fans already knew the game?
That, and I think the hardest part for most musicians they transition over to a live stream thing was that it was so alien to them. Um,
Yeah.
so for them to even think about doing it, when I say them, I'm a musician too, but people who hadn't done an online concert before, I feel they were just like, so what do? You just like sing into the camera and what? Nah, fuck that. I'm not doing that. This will be over in 2 weeks' time, 3 weeks' time, 4 weeks' time. They're going like, maybe I'll try and do one. And then they do it once and it felt really weird. And then they didn't do it. Whereas I had a good half a dozen years under my belt of doing them. And I'm not going to lie, the first time I done them too, it did feel strange and it didn't feel,
Yeah, you're singing to
singing
the
to a
computer,
camera,
the
you know.
camera.
The hardest part I feel about them, and that's what I try to explain to most artists who haven't done them, is that when you're watching television and the host is talking, the host doesn't tell a joke and then just stop talking and wait for 10 seconds. Whereas when I'm watching artists doing live streams, I've watched a bunch of live streams myself. I find that the artists, when they're doing them, they sing their song and they don't even talk after their song, or they don't. And there's just this dead air. Whereas, yourself, when you're doing a live concert, you finish your song, the band might do another drum roll and like a crowd's still clapping and you lift a drink and it's all very acceptable to be silent in between songs. Whereas
Yeah.
the online performance is a completely different performance. And the second you finish
So
playing, take it on.
you've developed the skill for that too. That's part of your success in it. Is like you figured out how to do that
I
a
was
long time ago, or during what do you call it? The plague.
the plague. I feel like I had the skill down before the plague came along.
Okay.
And I would encourage lots of artists out there to continue doing them, regardless of how the artist feels about them. What I will say is the fans really appreciate it.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, like, you know, not every fan can come to a show, even if times
Yeah.
are normal and
I
times
know.
were back to, you know, there could be a fan living in Timbuktu or on the moon, and he's never going to get to see a concert. Like, I have people now tuning in from Brazil, people from Amsterdam, people from Germany, places I've never played in my life, and those people have never seen me perform live. And the
Yeah.
online thing for them is as good as it gets. You know, that's the way I look at it too. Um, and I will continue doing them, hopefully, for as long as I can. I will encourage yourself or any artist to do it, you know. And it's good because I feel like over the pandemic, the plague, I have continued to play shows, even though it's not exactly how I always love to play my music. It's kept my tools sharp. You know, I'm still writing songs and I'm still playing and I'm trying out new songs on people and I can tell how the reaction goes if people like them or not. And
Yeah, it's a great opportunity for that, right? You can just like keep writing and say, I'm gonna write this song. I'm gonna finish this song and play it on Sunday, and I may never release the song, but at least I have a reason to finish it and work on it and play it, and maybe even get some reaction or
well,
some
100%.
feedback.
Like there's songs that I play on Stage It, and it's not because Stage It is any less than a regular gig, but there's songs I play on there that I would never perform live. It's just like, oh, I wrote this today, check this out,
Hmm.
because it becomes like a family thing. It becomes like you're all in it together. You know, it's not like you're on a big high stage and they're all sitting down and clapping for you. You're all sitting. It's just like this. It's sitting down with a chair and a beer, and you're having a laugh, and you're calling people out, and you're
Yeah.
saying thank you, and you don't do that in a regular concert. So for the viewer as well, they're not getting to watch a live concert, but they're probably getting more interaction that they ever would at a real concert. It's
Hmm.
it is music and it is a show, but it's a completely different thing to what you and I would have been brought up with watching and what you and I would have been brought up playing. You know, it's a different beast altogether. But all I can say is fans love it. They love it, and it's something that even when I go on tour, I will continue to make sure give the time in the day to do those shows and keep people involved. And I would I would throw it out there to get anybody to do it if you can.
Yeah.
Like the whole time that we were away in Portugal, I rented an Airbnb every weekend just to do the online shows over from October
Oh.
until the end of February. We were living in the van, and then at the
Oh,
weekend,
when you're doing your van trip.
yeah, and then I would rent an Airbnb at the weekend to do an online concert. And
Hmm.
that kind of made it fun too because the online concert was almost like being on tour. It was in a different city. And I was like, every night I'd be like, live from Lisbon, live from Porto, live
Yeah.
from Bilbao, Spain. But it was just,
Hmm.
a bit of a laugh to do it. But speaking of Portugal, you should move there.
Well, you've been telling me about Portugal for a couple of years now, and I definitely we want to go spend at least a month somewhere in Europe next year, next summer or fall. And Christina's pushing for somewhere in Italy, and I'm pushing for somewhere in Portugal. Just mostly because you keep telling me about the surf, and I love seafood.
Oh man, the
So if anybody
seafoods.
listening wants to rent my house while I'm gone,
$100 million.
I'll put lots of pictures of Keith around.
Yeah,
Open the
man.
refrigerator. There's Keith on a carton of milk.
Yeah, wanted. No, we're going to move there, Kelsey and I now later in the year, which we're super stoked about. And the surf's
That's
pumped.
amazing.
The thing I like about Portugal is that you know you're a couple of hours from Spain. you're 6 hours from North Spain up in the Basque.
Mm-hmm.
You're 9 hours from south of France. Not even 9 hours. You're 8.5 hours from the south of France, the Basque, where French border meets Spanish border. You can, it's handy to everywhere. You can
Yeah.
drive over. Once you drive through Spain, you can head on over to Italy. If you head
Mm-hmm.
south to Sagres, you're right in the middle of the Algarve. Then you've got the Algarve the whole way across. It's pretty amazing. Especially you being a California boy, like the plants and the flowers and the fauna and the succulents. It all just
Yeah.
looks a lot like California. And Italy is beautiful too. I've traveled Italy as well. Kelsey and I, for our honeymoon, we rented a 1962 uh, 911 Targa, a blue convertible Targa Porsche, and we drove it from Nice, France, all the way, zigzagged all the way around Italy for like 2 weeks, and it was, I
Yeah.
mean, it's a stunning country.
A lot of immigrants, when like a couple hundred years ago, who came to California on their own volition, not the ones who were brought here like to build railroads or walls or
Yeah,
subjugated and all that, were Italians, Portuguese, and like Basque, Spaniards, and French. And I think it probably has so much to do with the climate is so similar.
yeah,
They came over because of the opportunity to grow grapes or to farm sheep and whatever was there. The opportunity was here in California because there was so much of California that um, wasn't populated, and that's why like when you're talking about Californians that go to Portugal or places that are similar, they're like, I love it. It reminds me of California
yeah. I mean, I do the same shit to Kelsey all the time. I'm like,
without shopping malls everywhere.
more or less, man. Oh, there's a
Yeah.
restaurant beside where we're hopefully moving to, and we went there in April. There was six of us, and Waylon was there, and we had a liter of red wine. We probably had 2 liters of red wine, liter of white wine.
Yeah, and then some like octopus or something.
Oh, we had this at this time of year. They've got the escargots, so they do these wee tiny snails, but they're land snails, but they're tiny, and they just do them in garlic and butter, and they serve like a tray full of them. And then we done polvo, which is just cold octopus cut
Mm-hmm.
up like you would get in sashimi, and they do it with oil, onions, garlic, vinegar, and fresh parsley, and that's another starter. And then for the main, they do like they call it a rice dish, but it's not a paella, but it's kind of like a paella. It's like paella, but it's wet, so it's like rice that's full of like seafood broth and cockles. They cover the entire bowl for like
Yum.
5 or 6 people in prawns and Dungeness crabs, which actually come from Ireland, crab toes,
Huh.
and then like sides of potatoes and vegetables and fries and chips. And Whalen had a full fish
Yeah.
called a dorado, and they serve all the fish with like potatoes and vegetables,
Mm-hmm.
and the entire thing for 6 people, and that was €13 each.
Damn.
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 €13 wouldn't even get you a fucking beer in Venice Beach.
I know, and the beer is so good. Like I'm a total European beer guy. I just don't like the whole pale ale and Indian pale ale thing that's huge in America, like the craft brew thing.
I
I
I
just like
don't get it
I
either.
miss the boat on that at all. I like a real crisp, clean, light German, usually.
That's what I was drinking there now.
Yeah, I just Pilsner, lagers. I like lagers.
I'm the same.
I don't understand. I do like. I like Guinness a lot, but it's like I don't consider that like big. It's just so smooth and clean in a different way. It's not like people think it's thick or something or heavy, but it's actually goes down easy. It's pretty light and it doesn't get you smashed. You can have a bunch of them and you can enjoy it. But when you're eating spicy food or oily food or seafood, like a real bubbly.
Oh
Same with
man.
like sushi. Same like if you're eating sushi, like a real light bubbly pilsner is just it's the best. Like the
Oh
best
man.
beer to enjoy with food is a light European beer
They do so in
easily.
Portugal. They've got Sagres, which is made in Portugal, and they've got Superboc, which is also Portuguese. I prefer the Sagres, which is made in a town called Sagres, just at the very southern tip of Portugal. And they always serve it in these wee glasses, and the glasses are so thin they're almost like a champagne glass,
Yeah.
And they don't like give you like it's like
Keep
a
drinking more of those. Yeah.
oh man, there's a bar beside where we always hang out, and they asked me to play a gig there about 3 months ago, and it was rad. They sold out the whole place. Check this out. So it's like a town, basically like in Thailand. We've been here, nothing there, and a guy opened up a jazz bar there in 1986. This crazy Portuguese guy, and I was chatting to him. He's like, "They all thought I was fucking crazy. I opened up a Portuguese jazz bar in '86 in this town." And he says, "Look at it now. It's fucking packed." He says, "It's only been like that for 3 years. The other 32 years, it was empty." I was like, fucking hell. But like, they serve those wee glasses of beer. And like,
Yeah.
oh man, like you just keep like
You
two
just keep
mouthfuls
ordering,
and you just keep
keep them
going,
fresh. You get a big platter of them to keep coming out. You eat and you just enjoy it. You just enjoy the beer. While it makes you just enjoy the moment. Like you get the big, we serve big things of beer or bottles of beer, and it's just such a commitment. And it's like actually gives me anxiety. Every people are like, "You want to get a beer?" I don't even like. I say, "Okay, fine, just give me a Corona or a Bud Light or
that's what
something."
I
Because
order
I don't
too, just a
want
bottle of
any
beer.
anxiety at all of trying to figure out like, am I gonna like this? By the time I drink this one beer, this thing is like 7%. If by the time I'm done, I'm gonna have a buzz on, like, and that's gonna. Then what am I gonna do? Then what am I gonna order after that? I don't want to deal with any of that. I just want to enjoy the
I'm
act
with
of
you.
drinking.
Yeah, I'm the same. I don't drink to get smashed. Like I drink because I like drinking and being
Well, you
social.
can't get smashed. Your tolerance is so high.
Trust me, I can get smashed. I've tried
No.
I've tried for years and years. Sometimes I do, you know. I actually, man, it's funny. The pandemic kicked in and everybody's like just drinking at home nonstop. I don't drink at all
Yeah.
unless I'm like I never
We
even.
didn't. Although we got really heavy into drinking for a while. Like we were cocktails every night, into
Ah,
wine or into beer, and then that didn't last very long. And then we got really into because we weren't seeing people socially. We'd see people in the neighborhood, out on walks or at the beach or whatever, but we weren't having people over all the time or going to other people's places. So we kind of shifted into let's do a Friday night through Sunday. We'll have drinks, not all the time, but we'll start with cocktails on Friday, and then we'll
Friday
drink on
straight through to
Saturday
Sunday night.
night, and then Sunday you could have a drink earlier. But even that got a little crazy, and then so we just like have been fluctuating back and forth, just trying to keep it in moderation. And it's like I burned through so much alcohol, but I also burned through so many tastes or ways to love alcohol. Like I was like, oh, cocktails, it's gotta be cocktails, or oh no, it's gotta be wine. Or then I got really into beer because now I live in Ventura, which is a total craft beer town. It's like, oh, maybe I need to give this craft beer thing a try. And there's like all the like Chiefs Peak in Ojai or the Made West and the brew.
Lagunitas comes from there too, doesn't it?
Lagunitas comes from up in Sonoma County.
Oh, I thought it was around Ventura.
No, there is a town called Lagunitas in Marin County, but the brewery itself, I think, is up in Sonoma County, and they're really
That's what I'm saying.
good. The best micro brew craft brewery in the world, and I'm not saying like this is the beer is better than European beer or whatever, but the best like the IPA thing, the craft beer movement, the best one in the world is up in Sonoma County. It's called Russian River Brewery. And that's the one you've heard about. Like they have this beer that is I don't know if it's seasonal, but it comes out every once in a while in small batches called Pliny the Younger. people wear T-shirts. This is like the holy grail of
right?
craft beer. You've heard of it?
No,
No.
but I'm not up on craft beer, so I'm like you. I went through
It's
so
all
many.
like, it's like their place is like solar and all that, and the best ingredients, but it's all naturally fermented.
Yeah,
they don't inoculate it with yeasts or anything like that. They're just making, and they're just really good at what they do, and it's small, and people travel from all over.
hmm.
But California is one big giant fucking pale ale.
All of
And I
America,
went
all
through
of
a
America's
phase.
got like that. A lot of
I went through
America's
a
got like that.
phase in the pandemic of trying to drink all those, and it's just like, nah, still not for me.
It's funny, like I'm the same.
I'd rather have a Heineken.
Dude, I'm the same. Like I've went through. Like I love strong taste. Like we were just talking about this today, Kelsey and I, literally about the same conversation because on the radio, as we were driving in, we were taking Whalen over to ride a horse today, and on the radio presenter wanted to hear about things that other people all thought were amazing that you just thought were like meh. And Kelsey was like, IPAs. And I was like, I fucking agree. I was like, everybody else loves IPAs. And I'm like, what's really fucking like? Because here's the deal. Maybe that one beside you that you're talking about is absolutely amazing. I'm sure there are some great ones out there. But when you're on tour in the States and everybody's like, oh, this is a local IPA, and you drink it, and you're like, it's like fucking horse piss. Do you know
Yeah.
what I mean? It's just like this does not taste good. I like
Yeah, or like you're in Vermont or something and you're driving through a little town and you see all these people standing in line and you're like, "Whoa, what's going on there?" Like, is there like a book signing or something? Oh no,
some
the delivery truck is coming up with 6 packs of
shit
some
beer.
kind of beer, and you're like, "Huh? They're lining up for beer?" And this is everywhere. I mean, it's.
Yeah.
I remember playing a show in a suburb of Philadelphia, and there was a brewery across the street, and people were lined up around the block, sitting in chairs like they were waiting for Zeppelin tickets or something, just waiting for a beer like this brewery, which I've never heard of, but people in the neighborhood
It's
love it, and it's
probably
cool.
Stone Monkey. That's from
I
Philly, isn't
don't
it?
fucking know, but it's a can that somebody just put a little sticker on, so it's all crafty, but I think it would actually be really cool if it was more, and it might be, I might be oblivious, but if it was like a real neighborhood centric thing where it's like they make enough for the neighborhood and it's like the neighborhood pub, the neighborhood beer. This is what it's like, and people really got behind their local beer. I think that would be kind of cool.
Yeah, but like, I, it's just so
Still
strange for
tastes like,
me. For someone who just loves, like, I love foods and strong tastes and weird fish and gamey meat and like, you know, and I just drink that stuff. And I was like, same as yourself. Like, I see all these like lists of names when I go to a bar, and then I'm like, have you got Soul or Heineken or Corona? And they all kind of look at you and go, I'm like, just give me a bottle of fucking beer. Like, I'm good with that. I'm
yeah.
done.
Did I
Happy
just
out.
hear you say you like gamey meat?
Game meat, yeah.
Yeah, gamey meat.
Gamey meat.
Like what?
Like, so I used to shoot here with my
Elk?
dad. No, even like game birds. So we used to shoot like
Yeah, like
wood
goose
pigeons.
and yeah.
Wood pigeons really good. We used to shoot pigeon here. They're nothing like a city pigeon. They're like way bigger and they've got a different sort of feather pattern on them.
Mm-hmm.
And they just eat barley and berries. And if you could imagine, like, do you ever eat like
Squab.
do you ever eat kidneys or liver? Do you ever eat liver,
I
like sheep
love
liver?
liver. I do
So
love liver.
like pigeon would almost taste like steak, like sirloin and liver combined. If you had like a steak and kidney pie or something like that,
Hmm.
like you taste it and it's like you eat it and it's like
What
woo, it just like
what's
charges you up.
what's the last gamey meat you had?
What's the last thing I had? Some venison. There's a shop next to us.
I never had that.
Venison's not a strong gamey meat. But there used to be a chip shop in Derry City, called Frankie
A
Ramsey's.
chippy.
It was like a
Uh-huh.
cafe style chippy called Frankie Ramsey's, and we
Uh-huh.
used to call it Swanky Frankie's. And it just closed down, and it's been open since before my parents even started going out. And it would open at like 4 in the morning for people going to get breakfast before work, and then it stays open to like 2 o'clock at night. And you could go to
Mm-hmm.
Frankie's at 2 in the morning after a lot of Guinness, and you could probably like get a chick's number, get a fish supper, and also get into a fight, and then they would call you a taxi home. But they used to do like we used to get a full Irish breakfast at like 1 a.m. or 2 a.m. And me and the boys, my bass player Rob and Connor, we used to sort of like, it was almost like a competition to see who could eat the most fucking food after drinking like 15 pints of Guinness and whoever amount of shots of whiskey. And I would be like, can I have the big breakfast with fries and a chicken boulevant and a Scotch egg and a plate of liver? And I would like order the liver, and the boys are like, "You dirty bastard!" Ordering like none of that other shit was dirty. It was all roadkill, basically the meat. And they'd be
Yeah.
like liver on top of it. I was like, cover the frying liver. So like I'd eat two sausages, bacon, two
Yeah.
eggs, beans, mushrooms, potato bread, soda bread,
Yeah.
toast, a cup of tea, a chicken vol au vent, a plate of liver, just fried liver, and a Scotch
People
egg.
think that liver is nasty. People always say that liver is the filter for a body,
So's
like
oysters,
all the. But I
and
don't
they're a
think. I
delicacy.
think they're wrong. I think like the liver does filter stuff, but all the toxins and stuff is stored in fat.
The liver
Is that
doesn't
right?
store anything, and also the liver is
No, it
one
just
of the only
filters.
organs in the body that
Highly nutritious.
it replenishes itself all the time. The liver,
It's highly nutritious though. It has like every vitamin and mineral you need except for vitamin C. Like
it's full of
those
iron.
that Gerson, you've heard of the Gerson clinic?
No,
It's it's like an Austrian or a German oncologist 100 years ago or so started like a really radical cancer treatment clinic, and it's illegal in the U.S., but they have a clinic in Mexico somewhere, and people go down there for this radical treatment. And what he would do is he would just pump people with fresh juices all day long, fresh vegetable and fruit juice. Maybe not fruit, I don't know, but definitely juice. Like
mm-hmm.
just flood their body with liquids and nutrients, and give them raw liver, and give them vitamin C, and just like give them nothing for the cancer to eat on, like no fiber or anything, just flood their body with that. And now I think what they do is they, in Mexico, still with the raw juices and vitamin C, but they give them liver pills.
No way.
I think so.
I
When's the
mean,
last? So you're eating meat now?
I've been eating meat for like,
Was it
um,
was it the trip? Because
yeah, it
I've
was.
been a vegetarian for a long time, but I'm not. But I came to Ireland, and you and I were like eating a bunch of seafood because we were kind of like, you eat more cheese than I do. I
Yeah,
don't really eat cheese, but I'm
yeah,
like a vegetarian who eats
certain
fish.
fish. Yeah,
And we would go to all the great pubs and like Austin, whatever. We'd get steak and burgers. You and I would get fish and chips or whatever.
Austin's snack was a can of Monster Energy, and a fucking
He's
block of Dubliner cheese, and I'd be like, Jesus, fuck. Like that, the two worst things in that entire
I know,
store. That's what he used to
I
eat for
know.
a snack.
He's got some food that he craves that he just has to take down in the morning. But you threw a party the last one of the last nights we were there because some people were coming over, and you barbecued some sirloin, and I
Yeah,
threw a bunch on my plate, and you looked at me like, vegetarian my ass. And then I said, I mean, it looks really good. It's grass-fed Irish beef. I'm not gonna not eat it. And then you said, you know what? I'm gonna have some too. And you threw
yeah.
some on your plate, and then Kelsey walks over and was like, what is that on your plate? So have you been eating meat since then?
Probably.
Yeah, because I now since then I eat chicken. Not regularly, but like once a week.
So here's the
Decent.
deal, man. The reason why I went off meat was living in the States because, like, when you're on tour and you're pulling at these truck stops and playing in clubs and bars and they're giving you this fucking burger and you're looking at it and it's like gray and it's the fucking shittest piece of meat that they could find. And like, I found that like at 26 years old, 26, I was like getting chubby. And that's not the way my body is. Like, when I was just eating garbage. And that's a big part of the reason why I got the van with a Sprinter van with a kitchen and stuff so that we could cook our own grub. But since I came home here again, our meat here is so good. It's just so freaking good. Like, I have a buddy who owns a butcher's down the road here, friends of mine, the Breslins. And like, I was chatting to him one day. I was like, "What's the deal? Like, where's your meat come from?" And he named the farm. And this is just like standard. Like, their meat's very good, but they're not like a boutique, steak place that gets, it's just a standard high level butchers here in Ireland. And he named a farm that I know, which is literally 35 minutes from here. And it's all, everything is standard grass fed. And the meat literally comes from that field over there and goes over to his butchers. And that's as far as it goes. And like, so, and then also, whenever we went to Portugal last year, we got to Spain and I just seen all the, you go and you get the Parma ham and shit. I was like, oh, give it all to me.
Yeah.
It's hard to say no to all that stuff. But even though I eat meat now, like I don't eat meat every day. I'll like I made a pot of organic chili the other day. I got this nice organic steak mince and I made a big pot of chili. But like apart from that, I would eat meat. If I go out, maybe at a restaurant, I'll treat myself. But I won't like buy steaks every day for home or chicken every day for home or I'll have a bit of haddock. I like there's a place I get some fresh haddock and I would probably have haddock like 2-3 days a week.
Mm-hmm.
Which has now become more
What
expensive
is
than cod.
haddock? Is that like
It's a white fish, kind of like a
Oh,
cod.
yeah. I thought you
Only
were talking what? Oh, I was thinking you were talking about mutton or something.
no muttons. But yeah, haddock's kind of like it's funny how things goes in trends.
Yeah.
Even foods, like haddock used to be like cheaper than cod.
Yeah.
And the other day I was just buying a bag of like there's a company here called Donegal Catch and they do frozen haddock. And the haddock's actually more pricey now than the cod because more and more people are eating it.
Huh.
Even if you look at oysters, like oysters now are a delicacy. Back in the day, the
Yeah.
paupers in London
Yeah.
used to go down to the tide in
Yeah.
London, and that was their food.
Yeah.
And
Poor
they were
people
poor
food. Yeah.
people ate oysters, same as
Same with lobster.
lobsters. Used to serve them in prisons.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Do you know what I mean?
You
But
eat
yeah,
that smelt.
what's smelt?
Smelt is like the little sardine, little fish that sometimes you see jumping out of the water in the
Oh, like
way, like if you're
I think they
paddling
call
out.
them like sprat, like whitefish.
Hmm. They're
Yeah,
all over Iceland and up in the Atlantic waters.
yeah, yeah. I mean, we eat those. Actually, in Spain and Portugal, you would get that as like a starter. You
Yep.
basically just throw a bag of them into the
Yep.
fryer and you eat them with
Or you
chips.
stick a bunch on a skewer and fry them, and
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
I've been fishing a lot this year, man. The weather in Ireland. So this year, Europe has been the hottest ever
yeah.
on record. Ireland, Inch Island, was 36 degrees
Why
one
do you think that is? And you're not allowed to say global warming? Go.
day. Loaded question. Um, why do I think that is? I think there's a million fucking. I know you're kidding, but it's a good question. I mean, yeah, it's global warming.
Yeah.
Here's the thing about global warming, without going down the rabbit hole. I believe that you know I do believe it's a pattern as well. I think the Earth has done that for a million years, more
Yeah.
than a million, who knows how many years. But I also do believe that we're fucking definitely not helping it. I mean, we're absolute
Earth has
whores.
been through global warming and global cooling and global freezing over and over again. I don't know how many times, but we've had several ice ages and we've had several really hot times. I don't think it's a debate, though. Well, it's a debate, but I think it's can be proven that this time the global warming is caused by humans. Obviously, because we haven't been alive in the other times, but it's caused by the greenhouse effect, the greenhouse gases, and the the lack of trees, the killing of trees, and the gases in the atmosphere that are warming the planet and
I mean, I even notice it.
unhealthy for us to live.
I notice it even in the water. You know, so global warming's making the Gulf Stream move in the Atlantic, and they've been saying that for years. And growing up, surfing here in North Donegal, so that's say I've been surfing now, say 20 odd years. And normally when global warming or these changes happen, they say it takes over thousands of years. But I mean, like I can physically feel the difference in the water. Like growing up, I used to wear a summer wetsuit when the technology was fucking terrible in wetsuits, and you could have wore that summer wetsuit from you'd have got in the water in June with a summer suit on, which is when the water just is supposed to start heating up with no booties, no gloves, no headgear. And I have found now recently, I mean, if you're wearing a 3-2 out there now, even at this time of year, it is like ice. It is like freezing cold. The water doesn't, I feel like it doesn't warm up now in North Donegal. And the Gulf Stream just about wraps up the North Donegal, and it obviously is moving. If you go down further south for the North Stream, so say that's Ireland, the Gulf Stream kind of goes like this, kind of goes over the north and then goes away. But here on the west coast down in Sligo, if you drive 2 hours down the coast, the water temperature is like 3 degrees warmer. And it's insane how apparent it is. Like because I surf a lot everywhere all around the coast, and the difference in the temperature of the north to the south, it's unbelievable. And even fishing, like I fish so much here. I take my boat out all the time here in the Swilly. Every year, I've had a boat between my dad's old fishing boats and my boats. I counted the other day, like I've been in the water here now for 27 years, which is pretty amazing. Like I've spent a lot of hours out there in that water fishing and surfing and done whatever. But being on boats out there for so long, I remember fishing for certain fish earlier and earlier and earlier in the season every year. And even simple things like mackerel. I remember catching mackerel early on in the summer. Now the mackerel doesn't come in until like mid-July, beginning of August. And that's the summer's over. It's because the water is so much colder, and it's taking the sun's taking longer and longer to heat it because the Gulf Stream is not heating it. And it's definitely happening, and that's someone who isn't a scientist.
Fish migrate like a bird or a butterfly. Fish move from waters to waters, from coasts to coasts, and
they follow like the smelt, the sprat that you're talking about. They come in when the water's warmer.
There's seasons that you can fish them based on where they're going and international laws, like like different waters that you can when they get there and what they're doing,
and I've noticed these simple things like I'm not a scientist or I'm not a conspiracist, and I'm not saying you're right or I'm wrong and you're right, but they're physical things that I have undoubtedly seen in this tiny part of the world here. And I'm sure there's people all around the world noticing more and more and more. I mean, look at California. You talk about the fires in California.
You bring up California. California, I have grown to know as the canary in the coal mine. Because California, we have such a huge farming region, and we have so much of California is a Mediterranean climate, and then so much of California is rainforest, and also so much of California is snow-capped mountains. So we have all these different climates, and then we also have so many people that live here now, and California has become the canary in the coal mine for climate change because we have all these extremes. And I remember being a kid in Northern California in the Central Valley. In February, we would have tons of fog. It would just be like dangerous driving. You couldn't really drive at night without just thick, we call it the Thule fog. It's like fog that hangs really low to the ground. I don't know how high it goes, but it's like you could just see it hanging on the road when you're driving at night. And then after that, heavy rains. Rains. Then it would get really nice. Springtime would be beautiful. Summer would come, and then July, August, it would get really hot when I was a kid. Like, it would get to the hundreds Fahrenheit, 110 maybe some summers. And then fall would come, it would get really cold. November would come, starting to rain, get really cold, icy. Back to February, foggy. Now it doesn't. We don't get fog anymore. Rains come, but they're sporadic and they come really heavy and then they're gone and it's later. And then summer comes and it's longer and it's always hot. We would always, as a kid, have fires in the mountains. It was just a natural thing. Every once in a while, every few years, they'd be out of control, but it wouldn't be a regular thing. And we had a fire season. It was like October, November, when the mountains were at their driest, just before the rains would and the snow would start coming again. We'd had like a wildfire season. Now, any time of year in the mountains, or not just mountains, like anywhere where there's wildlands in Sonoma County, Santa Barbara, Malibu, wildfires can happen in January, they can happen in August.
Mm.
Crazy. I remember
Yeah.
having droughts when I was a kid in California, but it wasn't like drought year after year after year, each year being worse than the last drought. We would always have enough snow every couple of years. We'd have a big snow year. We'd have cold temperatures in the mountain, and it would pack the snow in. The snow would make it into the ground. The water would make it into the water table in the ground, and that's how we would be able to farm all the world's almonds or whatever, cattle, you name it. That's why California has just always been such a great farming state. But now all that stuff is just all shifting, and we have so many people in California that need water and need clean air because the air is fucked now because there's fires or all the farming. There's just particles, and this is not all of California. This isn't coastal, but Mendocino County is in a drought now, and it's like people say, "Oh, California's screwed" or whatever, but this is gonna happen everywhere. It's happening in Oregon and it's happening in
It's
Washington.
happening in Ireland, would you believe?
It's gonna happen in Ireland. It's gonna come to Portugal. It's gonna come everywhere. It's just happening to us first because we're so extreme.
Like, see, though, dude, I'm not kidding you. This summer here, the ground has got zero water. Like, I have never seen a drier summer here ever. This is fucking Ireland, where the joke is it always rains. Doesn't matter what time of the year. I mean, like, to the point that when it did rain there, normally if we have like 3 days of heavy rain, the rivers just go whap and they flood. There was like a week of heavy rain there about a month ago, and the rivers didn't even fluctuate because the ground was just drinking it and drinking it and drinking it and drinking it and drinking it. Like, I have a well system here at our place. We got a hot tub out the back now for guests. And at one point, I was just going to like stop, even like just tell everybody they can't use the hot tub and not fill it again. And because at one point I was just expecting the well just to stop having no water. I've never seen not. I've never the same here. It's happening everywhere. You're right. It is.
So you'll have to get a tank.
So I mean, it's raining now again. We're going into the winter, but honestly, I was genuinely worried for a minute
Yeah, you can get a
here.
tank.
You can get a tank, I for sure. That's a whole other. Maybe next year, if it happens to get again, I'll probably have to do something like that because our place is
Yeah.
quite big. The well. We've got, not that it's all running at any given time, but like there's toilets here in the studio, there's toilets down there at the back, there's toilets in the house, there's a couple of different showers.
Yeah.
You know, um, that's a whole other dilemma that I'll have to deal with probably next year. But yeah, man, the weather.
Yeah. You're just like everybody in coastal California that lives off of a well has a pump and a tank. That's gonna be Ireland.
Isn't that crazy to think?
You're you're all gonna do that, yeah.
In the
Because the
place
wells
that
have all run dry in Mendocino and some other counties in California,
it's
and they're
quite a scary
shipping
thought.
water in. What's that?
It's a scary thought.
Yeah.
It really is.
But I mean, but the Earth is the Earth, and climate is the climate. I mean, it's existed for a long time, and it just shifts, and there's new models. I mean, there's water on the planet. There's plenty of water. It's just all in places that are flooding, or it's just melting and flowing into the ocean. Like, we're going to have to start relying on desalinating ocean water or just moving water around. That's what LA did 100 years ago. They
It's like the
moved
Canaries and
water from
places like that. It's
they
still.
moved water from the Owens River up in like Mammoth area down to Los Angeles.
Did you see the thing today I seen online somewhere about the factory in Finland, Iceland, Finland, something land, Greenland? Can't remember where it is. One of those three. Uh,
Lapland,
Lapland, Ireland.
Disneyland.
That's where it was. They've created this factory, and
Is there a strip club called Lapland? Because there should be.
there probably is. I mean, there's a strip club. I mean, yeah, there's lots of strip clubs.
There's lots of them. Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
It's quite funny. I had a friend of mine on the. We'll get back to that factory. I had a friend of mine on the podcast called Andy Wright. He's a producer in London, and Andy took me to London when I was 18 and took me under his wing. And they were all pretty rock and roll. That studio was insanely rock and roll. And for my 19th birthday, Andy took me out. And on the podcast, I didn't want to like say where he took me, and I was like, and you took me out to a club, and Andy goes, did I? I couldn't remember. And I says, yeah, Lemmy from Motorhead was there. And he goes, was he fucking? I says, yeah. And I says, and all the chicks were naked. It was really strange. And Andy was like, fuck you. He took me to Stringfellows, Peter Stringfellow's joint, and I was 19 years old. And Lemmy from Motorhead actually was sitting next to me with like a chick under each arm. With literally, it was like so stereotypical, bottle of Jack Daniels sitting in front of him. And I just leaned over and I was like, hey, you're Lemmy from Motorhead. That's all I could say to him. I was like drunk as shit. And he was all, yeah, kid. Yeah, kid. And I was all, fucking awesome, man. I was all, it's my birthday. I was like, you just like, I was a kid. And he goes, happy birthday, mate. I was like, yeah, Lemmy from Motorhead. Yeah.
One time I was in Paris. This is a long time ago. I was playing a show, and I had a day off. And earlier in the day, I went to a David Lynch film festival at some little new art theater in Saint Germain. I was staying in Saint Germain, and some friends and I went out that night, and we were just partying around Saint Germain, and then somebody told us about a pub, an Irish pub in another neighborhood. So we went walking, looking for it. We never found it, but we found a jazz bar, a little jazz bar.
Nice.
Oh, let's walk inside. We go inside, we sit down, we're drinking, I forget what we're drinking, but great German beer probably, or maybe it was Peroni or something like that. Having a great time. And I feel like somebody kind of in the booth next to me, like you recognize somebody or some familiarity, right? And it's this German woman singing jazz with a upright bass player and a piano player. And oh shit, next to me in the booth is Bo Bridges, like the lesser famous of the Bridges brothers, right? Just sitting there, just enjoying the jazz music. And when I'm looking at him, like it's like I look at Bo Bridges and I see him right there, but then like way in the back in a booth behind him, like my eyes immediately go to something else. Because it's just, when you see something that you're familiar with, you're just, boom, in the back, in a booth, Robert Plant. Just sitting there. Yeah, just in this, like, booth, and he's in the middle of the booth, and he has, like, the golden curls and just, like, this golden light around him just beaming off of him. And he's got, like, just very normal, average-looking, beautiful people. They're not models or famous or movie stars. At least I didn't think so. But they were like his cousins or his in-laws, or I don't know, just sitting there. They're drinking wine and they're listening to the jazz music. I'm like, holy shit, this lady is killing it with Beau Bridges and Robert Plant watching. She finishes her set. Robert Plant gets up from his table with his cousins or in-laws or whatever, and he's got a little hippie satchel thing, like a macrame crocheted little bag with a long strap. It's kind of like a little pursey thing,
Yeah.
but I don't know what he's got in there. Maybe his wallet. I don't know, but he just kind of throws like one of those things you'd see if you're in like Asheville, North Carolina, or Santa Cruz, like a hippie
Yeah. A satchel.
satchel. And he just gets up and he walks by and he walks out. But this was like long enough. This is before he had the huge Americana career. This is when he was just Robert Plant of Led Zeppelin. It was like a year before he did that Alison Krauss
Yeah.
record and sort of like reinvented himself and started appearing everywhere. You'd see him at festivals and things
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
the time. This was when like you didn't know if what he was doing, and it's like, oh, that makes sense. He's living in Paris.
Amazing. Man,
He's
a
living
lot
in
of them.
Paris and going to jazz clubs.
I mean, if I could do it, that's what I would do. You know, imagine that. Just like hanging out, drinking wine, going to see the odd gig now and again. I mean, everybody's got their sort of form of perfection and contentment. I'd be pretty content doing something like that. Wouldn't have to be fancy. Speaking of fancy, that reminded me of the lyric on your song, the new song that you have out, the one I text you about.
I've never
Nice.
been accused of being fancy.
Aye. But what's
Yeah,
no, that is a
yeah,
great line. But the
that's the
other line,
lyric.
but what's the other line then about something about stupid for free?
I'm not stupid with my money, honey. I could be stupid for
For
free.
free.
Yeah.
Yeah. I heard that and I was like, it fucking sums up my life right there. And you're pretty clued on that too. That was a great line.
That's kind of like a Keith Harkin line.
That's definitely a Keith Harkin
You're
line.
like the clever. You're like the clever, clever wordy turn of
I
phrase
don't
kind
need
of
to
like
be
a guy.
stupid, honey. I can be stupid for free. Fuck yeah.
I don't need to be stupid with my money. I can be stupid for free. Yeah.
Did you say honey though?
Well,
I don't need to be stupid with my money.
yeah, I'm not stupid
Honey.
with my money, honey. I could be stupid for
You see,
honey.
I like
Yeah,
finishing a
I could be
lyric
stupid for
with a word that
that's
can
the one.
finish that sentence and also start the next sentence. So you're double using that one word. Do you know what I mean?
Hmm.
Like, is the honey part of the first word or is honey part of the second word? Second line, sorry. Or is it just both?
Could be both.
See,
I'm not
that's
stupid with my money, comma, honey. Or I'm not stupid with my money. Honey, I could be stupid for free. I don't know. It's
I like
both.
I like to think it's both. I
Yeah.
always try my best to like stick a word in like that. Not intentionally. I just seem to find I like that we link.
Yeah.
Ooh, yeah. Fills the gap.
Huh. Yeah.
What happened with so that song? What made you write that song?
That song's called Paul Newman Daytona Rolex, and was on tour somewhere and I don't remember, but I was just watching TV in a hotel late night and I was watching Antiques Roadshow. And
So rock and roll.
huh?
So
Totally.
rock and roll. What did you do when you're on tour? Hookers and cocaine. Nah, I went back to my hotel room and watched Antique Roadshow.
Yeah, I mean I did, but I don't that wasn't the plan, but that's what I did. The plan for me usually is I do like to go out like but I don't like to go out every night.
Yeah,
I like to go out when, but you it just it's like if you got an early morning or if you're tired or whatever, sometimes you just want to it's hard to it's like when you play a show and you have so much adrenaline and everything going, it's like it's easy to go out and keep it going, but then you also need to like somehow figure out a way to wind it down.
yeah, I
It's
agree.
hard to wind it down when you go out because then it just turns into just more energy spent.
Yeah,
But I was winding down watching Antiques Roadshow, and a guy came in with a watch, a signature Paul Newman model Daytona Rolex, and he had bought it for a few hundred, and then 30 years later it was worth a few $100,000, and that really piqued my interest. And then so I started looking it up on Google, and then there's some of these Newman Rolex Daytonas that are going for tens of millions of dollars, just depending on what year, what model, what they're made out of, what kind of band they have, what condition they're in. And so then I just always thought that would be a cool song to write. And then a couple years ago, I just started working on it, turned it into a song. And then
Killer.
Yeah.
It really is. It's killer.
Stole the story and pretended it was mine. I don't really have a Rolex Daytona.
You haven't got a $10 million Rolex Daytona.
No. Do you think about buying a watch and giving it to Waylon? I know you have plenty of other stuff you'll give to him, as do I, like guitars and such. But you think about a watch, something like that?
Nah. I never really thought about it,
I brought that up the other night at the big family dinner. We were all up in Sonoma. My cousin was there. My parents and my nieces and nephews, and I was like, I think I want to get a nice watch, to give to Van as a start of family heirloom, because, Dad didn't have one from his dad, and they just jumped all over me like, you don't need one. You don't have to. It could be anything. It could be a pocket knife. Like, okay, end of subject. Let's talk about something else.
What I did
nearly a picture. You can build him a toy. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, I understand that from both angles. I get it. I agree with you, but I can't agree with them too. But I never really thought about it. But what I did, my very first car was a Land Rover Defender that I bought off my dad. And when I was on tour for one time, way too long, I was gone for like 2 years and I didn't want to rot, so I just sold it. And that was like 15 years ago. And I'm part of this Land Rover Defender group here on like Facebook just to get parts and stuff for my Defender. And I just put it up one day, a picture of it with the registration. And I says, hey, does anybody on here have this? And a young guy got back to me and he was like, hey, I was the person that bought your Land Rover and I never really even drove it. He won €1 million on a scratch card after he bought the car off me and dismantled the car and rebuilt it from the ground up. So the Land Rover is like showroom, galvanized chassis, galvanized bulkhead, new engine, all like perfect. And I keep asking him, would he sell it back to me?
Yeah.
I keep asking him and he gave me a price and I was like, all right, go and send me some photographs of it, but I don't think he wants to get rid of it. But I thought that would have been really cool to buy and give to Waylon. Whether he drives it or not, I don't know. But like, I just thought it's kind of like a cool story too. Like the $1 million ticket fixed it all up, done something I could never do, and now I was able to buy it back for him.
Oh,
that'd be cool.
That's too complicated to make into a song.
I was just thinking the same thing. Literally, and I was going, could I fucking...
There's too many twists and turns. This will be a song where it's like, where's this going? Oh. He fixed it up, and then he bought it back. Oh, no, wait. He's not going to sell it. Okay.
I was literally, as I was saying that out of my mouth, I was thinking exactly the same thing as you.
That's why I was thinking the same thing. But that's like why... with the Daytona Rolex, my song it's all kind of like the stories in the first verse, and I made a decision not to continue I wanted to cram the whole story in the first verse because I thought that if the story continued in the second verse, people would start thinking too much following the song, and you can really only get away with that if it's more of a ballad, like a folk song, if it's all about the story. But if it's a song with some groove and a catchy chorus, then it's like, wait, we're back into the story now. I have to think again. Like, that's why the second verse of that song just kind of zooms way out and talks about,
all right,
bigger, broader, shiny, happy stuff.
I wrote a song recently called "Leaves Are Just Regrets," and there's a lyric in it that I love singing that much that I feel like stopping the song and just keep singing the same verse like 5 times, because just the way it spits off the tongue, it's like. It's let the sun come kiss your lips. This world is at your fingertips. I know these days are hit or miss, but that's all right. It just feels so nice when you're singing it. It's just like, yeah, no, like sort of like there's like see the Eagles like uh standing on the corner of Winslow, Arizona, such a fine. There's a girl, my lord, in a flat. Just there's something about that lyric and that song. Every time I hear it, I'm like, fuck, that fits
Yeah.
so right. And when you sing it, it feels so. As a singer, it
Yeah.
feels so perfect. Do you know what I'm trying to? Do you know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah, the rhythm and the phonetics and the sounds,
Oh,
the alliteration, but also the like, don't discount those lyrics. Those
oh man, the
lyrics are
lyrics are so. Every time
insane.
I see it, every time I hear it, I see the
Like it
same.
start. He's like, I'm standing on a corner in Winslow, Arizona. Okay, badass. You're in the heart of America. Okay, you're in a small town on Route 66 in the heart of America. Boom. There's like nostalgia. That's okay. Red, white, and blue in your veins. Okay,
Yep.
what's next? Um, you're seeing something, such a fine sight to see. Okay, now we're like, you feel like you're in your Sunday morning clothes or something, and then a girl. Okay, sex. My lord. All right, religion, God. Let's go. Flatbed Ford, American muscle truck. She's checking me out. Yep. It's like, what did he just? America, religion, sex, cars, and just all in a couple of lines.
I know.
Glenn
I know.
Fry.
I know. Jack Tempchin's best buddy.
Really?
Yeah. Do you know that album Glenn Fry released, the solo one, where he's wearing like a white shirt and a white suit in the front of the vinyl?
That with the heat is on.
Yeah,
Heat is
that's
on.
Jack, and him wrote every one of those songs.
That's cool.
Jack wrote some of the, I think Jack wrote some of them on his own too, but then the majority of them it was him and Glenn Fry wrote all along. But man, that lyric in that song, love or hate the Eagles, like that
What does that
made.
mean?
Well, I mean, like the dude hates the
Who hates
Eagles.
the Eagles?
The dude hates the Eagles.
Other than the dude who hates the Eagles.
I don't know. I mean, I don't fucking hate them. I love the Eagles.
Haters.
Haters, I bet haters
Me
hate.
too.
I think the Eagles, man, are fucking. Some of the lyrics to some of those songs is just too good. Hotel California, what? What a banger!
Love that song.
Imagine I
Love that
walked.
song.
Imagine I
Every
walked in
note of that
here
song.
whenever you and Austin were standing here, and I was like, "Oh, I wrote a song about a hotel," and I started singing that with those lyrics and where it's going. Everybody's brains would explode in the studio.
Yeah, just the lyrics alone, people are like, wait a minute. You came up with the Hotel California? Just like, I don't even want to hear the song. Cha-ching?
I don't know.
And then wait, it's kind of like a flamenco progression, but you're
Even the
playing it like a
drums.
reggae song. It's like a reggae song. It's like, and then Don Henley's gonna sing it, and Joe Walsh is gonna play guitar on it.
Joe Walsh is so good. Joe Walsh is my
Okay,
favorite
cool.
person in the band. I think Joe Walsh is just fucking great. I love him. I love how absolutely manic is. You know,
Yeah,
he's just the spark that band needed.
yeah,
He has the spark that lit that fire. You know.
yeah. They all kind of come across more as like serious players, and he's just kind of like balls out, wild man.
He's a wild man.
I mean, I live in hotels, tear out the wall.
Boom, 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 boom.
I have accountants, pay for it all. I mean,
I
what's
know.
cooler than that?
There's one of the footage. There's footage of an old concert that they done, and they all walk out, and Don Henley's there, and Glenn Fry's there, and Felder's there, and they all walk out pretty serious. And Joe Walsh just walks up to the microphone and says on fucking. You could tell he just done copious amounts of drugs before he walked on, and he literally just grabs. It's like an arena, like a fucking football arena with tens and tens of thousands. He just goes something like some random word. He's like firecrackers, and just walks away from the mic. And you see the rest of the band being like, what the fuck's Joe doing right now? I was like, yeah, Joe, you're the shit. Oh man, I can't wait to get back out and play music with my band. It's been so long. It really is. One of them is just actually phoning me there now. God knows what he wants. I miss it. I miss them. I miss playing the audiences. I miss crowds. I miss sweating. I miss playing shit gigs. I miss playing all of it. So one thing it's made me realize is how much I love actually playing music to people. It's a real amazing job that we have got to do throughout our
It's
life.
yeah, it's made me think that or it's made me realize that it's not we're not just it's like we're not musicians. It's like that's not really what it is. Like we're we're we're, we're musicians, but what we do is so much bigger than that. We're like the centerpiece of a thing that happens that has so many elements. We're like, there's plenty of musicians that are better than us that are out there that are just
Yeah.
playing music in their homes or playing music, sheet music, or just practicing or whatever, or putting music out and putting it on TikTok or
Mm-hmm.
what have you. But it's like music is just the thing, the vehicle that gets us to what we're actually doing.
Yeah,
And
I
what we're
agree.
actually doing is a lot harder to describe, but there's lots of people involved. And yeah, being in the present moment and being in a place and being with other people and everything, it's all coming together to make this event that we're in the middle of.
Yeah.
And that is the thing that I say that's like the, that's what's missing. Like I miss doing, I can play guitar at home and I can write songs, but all that other stuff is gone. I can't get to that.
Yeah. Yeah. There's nothing better, man. Like sometimes you walk out on that stage and within two footsteps onto the stage, you know it's going to be one of those fucking amazing gigs. Do you
Yeah.
know what I mean? Do you ever get like that?
Mm.
Sometimes you play two
Yeah.
chords, and all
No,
it takes is.
I had that the other day in Columbus, Ohio.
Where'd you play in Columbus?
I don't know. I can't remember. It was a tiny club. It was a
Rumba?
tiny club. Huh?
Rumba?
No.
There's a big place called the big old school, really cool diner place. It's got all the huge, big, flashy lights outside. It's really famous.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
No,
This
I don't know where
is.
you played.
It might have had the name Fox. This is the second time I said that. Fox in the name. I feel like I said that about something else. Fox or Wexfords or Wex Fox Trail.
Don't
It
know.
There's a venue in the back, and then the front it's some kind of a restaurant or pub. But it's a small venue in the back, and I was going through sound check, going, "Oh no, I don't know. How's this show gonna be? Where am I? I don't didn't know I was playing this." Walk out on stage. Immediately, I was like, "Oh, hold on,"
It's great when
and
that
just
happens.
it
It's
just
so
got
good.
better and better and better and better as the night went on. I mean, oh,
Crowd's
I would,
always good. I always have a good time in Ohio. Good crowds in Hawaii, Ohio.
yeah, I have too. I love
And even
Ohio.
even like a few nights I've played, um, the bar staff, like even and stuff, like I became pretty friendly with a couple of venues that I played on quite regular, and like they'd always be like so stoked to see you, but like, oh, we took off tonight after you're working. Can you come out and have beers with us? I'm like, oh, of course, let's do it. It's always nice to play in places like that where they not only appreciate the music, but as a person.
Yeah. Well, that's actually starting to happen to me more now because now I've done this long enough and I'm old enough that I'll play like in Columbus. This happened where there was like a bunch of people working this club and this restaurant. There was the promoter, the buyer, the bar staff, then the crew that were working there, and they were all maybe 10 years younger than me probably, and all of them were like, "This is a big show for us because we all have listened to your music for a long time." I'm like,
Great.
"Oh, cool." and like, yeah, like I listened to you in high school, or I listened to you this year in college. It's like it made me want to get into music, and they were all just so stoked. And so I'm like, okay. At first, I felt like, oh my god, I'm like this old guy now who's like going downhill. But then you step out on stage and you're like, wait a minute, I this is amazing. Like
Yeah.
everybody is so happy, and if I were one of those people in the crowd seeing a band that I loved, or I would that would have made like, can you imagine like
I'm
if
of course.
somebody came to your little area that
Yeah.
you loved and
Oh, for
you went
sure.
to see them and it was a small place and it was packed and everybody was having a good time?
Nothing better. No better gig for me. That's like the best gig.
Yeah.
So next year, what I'm going to do in the summer, um, I think I said it to you before, but I'm definitely doing it now. Is I'm going to do a backyard barbecue jam all across America, and it's going to be outdoor concerts in like vetted fans' houses. I haven't even talked about this to fans. So if any fans out there has an amazing backyard and are willing to let like 50 people come into your yard and a band during the day, like 6 o'clock to like 9 o'clock, so you can't get much noise complaints, let me know. But what I'm going to do is do that all across America this summer, probably like June, July. And I just think, A, for that reason you're talking about, your favorite artist comes, they do like a backyard barbecue jam sesh thing out in the backyard with a band there. Like for me, that's the kind of gigs I love going to, those kind of things. And secondly, like me and my band, we done it once before. We done a house concert tour. We loved it. But the thing about the house concert tour was a lot of work for us, and it was tight in places and you're trying to work out how to fit 50 seats. There's a lot of
chairs and all that.
there was a lot of thinking that had to go into it. Whereas I know if I get a big garden, you just put up a gazebo, the band sets up, hold the PA system hangs off the side of the van, and we just rock out and everybody sits wherever, and it's cool and it's easy, way easier, less work for us. So me and the band, I was talking about it to them this week, and they're all completely gung-ho and can't wait to do it.
And this is now, and in this you get a Yeti cooler sponsorship, you get a Weber grill sponsorship, you get a Trump steak sponsorship, and
Yep. Yeah, I've already started planting a few seeds out there for a few ideas. You should come along, Brett, and do it with me. We'll do a backyard barbecue jam series. I think it'll be
Columbus.
I just think it'll be so much fun.
Yeah.
Like I'm now at the point
you
where like
curate it to where you could have people like me come on for a show or two or whatever.
100%.
That would be sweet.
I'm at the point now I don't want to do it unless it's fun. Like I done Celtic Thunder for so many years, and I'm not saying it wasn't fun, but it was just so serious, which ain't my bag. I like to have fun. I like to be spontaneous. I like to, if I'm enjoying a song, keep it going for an extra 20 minutes until people aren't enjoying it no more.
Yeah.
And those kind of gigs for me now is just, that's all I want to do, is have a laugh and play whatever comes to mind at the time, and don't feel pressurized as in having to impress people or fucking be one of the cool guys or, be one of the hipster bands that doesn't really. I want to get up there and perform and fucking entertain people, and don't be afraid. Be like, are you having a good time? I'm having a good time.
Yeah. It's about just being authentic in the moment and being present. You want to have an experience with them that can never happen again.
Yeah, more or less.
And that experience can never happen if you're thinking too much about what the outcome
100%.
Yeah.
I always have the saying, it's not how you do it, it's how you do it. And if you're going to fucking do it right. Simple as that. Anybody can do it, but it's how you do it. That's what matters, That's what matters, my friend.
Well, you do it well, my man.
So do you. What's the name of your new record?
See the World.
Available everywhere?
No. I mean, it's available digitally, streamably.
Did I not see recently on your Instagram?
I'm selling vinyl. Yeah, I'm selling vinyl, but I didn't make hard CDs.
Okay. So vinyl from brettdenon.com.
.net.
.net. Oh, it's very hipster of you.
.com was taken
Who the fuck
by
took your
my old
.com?
manager. My old manager.
Where does he live? I'll sort him out. I'll go around and
She
take
is
it off him.
actually my
She,
neighbor, and we're totally cool. But she never. Well, she lives close by, like 5 minutes. She lives over where you were looking when you were looking
yeah,
up
yeah.
at that I think you were looking like a geodesic dome kind of looking house.
Yeah.
She lives in that neighborhood, and she's rad. But we never sorted out the website, so I just got a new one. And then by the time we like were hanging out again, it was like, well, now I'm at .net, so it doesn't matter.
So you can keep your .com. Well, look, if you want me to go around and take it from her, I'll
But
happily
if
do it
it's
next time.
hipster, that's cool.
I don't even know. Is it? I don't fucking know. Well, look, man, I hope I get to see you sooner than later. It's hard to believe that it's been 2 years next month when you guys are here and we recorded the album. Speaking of which, when I was supposed to fly out and the guys caught COVID, they ended up in hospital. The whole studio, 2 of them ended up in hospital. Guys our age
So
because
it's
of
good you
COVID.
didn't go.
So I'm glad I didn't go, and I'm
Yeah.
still waiting for them. They haven't opened the studio now. That's a month that the studio's been shut. Good old COVID. So Gavin, Goldberg, and Andy, if you're listening, I hope you're feeling better, boys. That's a fucking shit one.
Oh man, I'm sorry to hear that.
That's the way it goes. Well, look, I love yous.
All
Tell
right,
everybody I said
love you
hello,
too, man.
Van, Christina, and we'll send you a link to this when it's all up and done.
Alrighty.
Thanks for chatting
Thanks,
with me,
buddy.
brother. I'll chat to you soon.
Peace
Peace.
out.